From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, and Wawodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, Muslims worldwide observe Eid-el-fitri prayers after a month-long period of fasting in the holy month of Ramadan, with prayers for peace, love and unity across the globe. President Bola Tinubu asked Nigerians to sustain the teachings of the month of Ramadan as he made happy celebrations to all our Muslim audience around the world. And Muslims, as we know today, are celebrating Eid-el-fitri, marking the end of the holy month of Ramadan. Eid-el-fitri, meaning festival of breaking the fast, is a time for gratitude, charity and communal harmony. From the elaborate feasts of South Asia to the festive clothing in Nigeria and the African continent, and of course the warm greetings in the Middle East. Eid celebrations vary across cultures, showcasing the rich diversity of the Muslim world. Muslims have been praying at mosques from Saudi Arabia to Gaza, asking for blessings of Eid on all Muslims and for peace around the world.
We begin in Saudi Arabia, where Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman received the Lebanese Prime Minister, Nawaf Salam, at the Al Safa Palace in Mecca, where the two leaders joined Eid-el-Fitr prayers. They recited prayers alongside other Saudi officials and later exchanged greetings before settling down to bilateral talks. Thousands of worshippers performed Eid prayers at the Al-Aqsa Mosque early Sunday amid renewed fighting in the Gaza Strip, an ongoing military operation by the Israeli Defense Forces. Some worshippers who spoke to the press said they're embarrassed to wish a happy Eid to Gaza because Gaza is not well. Neither is Jenin, Dukam and Kalkia. As for the Muslims in Gaza, they congregated on Sunday morning to perform Eid prayers in a makeshift tent mosque amid the rubble of leveled buildings. Attendees say they're marking Eid with shrouds, and the blood of the martyrs has not dried up. Others say they have no feelings whatsoever and are going to rejoice as little as they can. In Istanbul, Turkey, hundreds of worshippers flooded the courtyard of the Grand Hagia Sophia. Hagia Sophia is one of the world's most innovative architectural marvels. It was originally built as a Byzantine church in 537 before being converted to a mosque after the conquest of Constantinople in 1453 and remained a grand mosque for centuries. Finally, Indonesian Muslims gathered at their embassy in Moscow, Russia for prayers and the Imam's address. Many grateful to the Russian government for the support of having the freedom to participate in the Eid.
Back home, President Bola Tinubu has asked Nigerians, especially Muslim faithful, to continue with the deeds taught during the holy month of Ramadan. He made the call after observing the Eid-el-Fitri prayers at the National Eid Prayer Ground in Abuja. Our State House correspondent, Empress Simon, reports.
President Bola Tinubu arrives at the National Eid Prayer Ground, Abuja, to join other Muslim faithful for the Eid-el-Fitr prayers, which mark the end of the Ramadan fast. Also present are Vice President Kashim Shettima, the Deputy Senate President Senator Barao Jibrin, the National Security Advisor Mr. Nouri Bado, and other members of the Federal Executive Council. Sheikh Abdul Qadir Salman Sholagberu led the worshippers to observe the 2 rakat prayers. In an interview after the prayers, President Tinubu emphasizes the need to continue with the lessons learned during the month of Ramadan.
We started together and we are ending together in good health and in happiness, in prayers for our country, for all our people. We should continue the good deed as taught by the holy month of Ramadan. Care for the vulnerable, the orphans, the less privileged, everything that we have observed. We should not revert to the path that is not acceptable with the teaching of this month.
Some of his cabinet members used the moment to reiterate government's commitment to transforming the lives of the citizens.
Indeed, we are turning the corner. Nigeria is beginning to see signs that there will be progress, there will be prosperity for all of us.
All the economic measures for which Nigerians enthusiastically gave their support and mandate to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu are yielding the desired fruit, and we will see more traction along that direction.
What Ramadan came to teach us is that when you put your hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you put your trust in Him, you make sacrifice and you work hard, definitely Allah will be there for you.
Meanwhile, Nigerians are short of adequate security during the festivity.
We have directed that deployment should be done, to protect our critical assets. And I like to assure Nigerians that by the grace of God, the festivity and the ceremony for this Eid-el-fitri will be hitch-free.
The month of Ramadan teaches patience, self-discipline and sacrifice. Muslims are expected to sustain these virtues and others even beyond the festivity. From the National Eid Prayer Ground, Abuja, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Well, Nigerians should continue to pray and support leaders at all levels of government for the growth and development of the country. And that's a plea coming from the Sultan of Sokoto, Saad Abubakar III, shortly after prayers to mark this year's Eid-el-fitri celebrations in Sokoto. He also asked for prayers for peace and against the rising insecurity in the country.
It is the end of Ramadan as Muslim faithful from across the north converge for the Eid-el-fitr prayers.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
From the north central, the message of the Eid prayers is unity, peace and patience.
We should continue to be patient. We should continue to be patient with Allah. We should continue to be patient with the government. And we should continue to be patient with ourselves.
I want to use the opportunity to call on the good people of Nasarawa State to continue to work together as a people, to continue to pray for one another, to continue to assist one another, and to continue to sustain the teachings of Ramadan.
The message to the Qurans generally is that they should imbibe the spirit of Ramadan even after the Ramadan. We should be our brother's keeper and we remain peaceful and pray for the country and Kwara State in general.
First, I want to draw the attention or appeal for the privileged ones that based on the situation we find ourselves as a country, that anybody who found himself with adequate opportunity, we should extend our hands of fellowship to the needy, especially the vulnerable ones.
Would you see the religiosity in this country and that the Christians are observing their own Lent, isn't it? They're still on. So why can't we use this opportunity to work together and then become the real religious people, not the people of religion?
The message of peace resonates in the northeast as the need for security and welfare of Nigerians is stressed.
I urge the people to be more resilient, more steadfast, especially with regards to the issue of managing our security, because without security, nothing else will thrive well. And I believe we are seeing the effort, the result of the effort we are making in Gombe.
Appeal to the people of Bauchi State to work with us as a government, to cooperate with us to ensure that our noble objective of protecting the life and property of citizens is holistically realized and achieved.
We are counting blessings of Almighty Allah, and I urge our people to live with the legacy of the Ramadan by continue keeping peace, love, and respect among our students.
We should be tolerant, we should be very patient, and we should love one another, irrespective of religion, language, or any barrier.
Prayers for divine intervention in overcoming the numerous challenges bedeviling the nation is brought to the front burner in the Northwest.
My appeal is to conduct the celebration in peace, and then there should be harmony, and we expect a peaceful celebration all over the state and beyond.
My prayer here is to have peace in Zamfara. As you can see, things are getting better in terms of security. We pray to Almighty Allah to continue to grant us the wisdom to be able to overcome the challenges that we are facing in the state and the country at large.
It is my hope and prayer that the lessons that we learned of Eid, which is patience, tolerance, and all, that we would carry it forward into the incoming year.
We have done our fasting, and we have finished successfully. All the prayers that has been rendered to us, we acknowledge and we are happy. And I want to tell Kebbi State people that we will do everything possible to ensure that we do justice to all manners of our people.
It is a time to reflect on the virtues of patience, compassion, and generosity, which we have cultivated throughout the holy months of Ramadan.
As the Muslim faithful depart the various prayer grounds, they are optimistic of a better Nigeria.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has commended the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory and the immediate past Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, for what he calls giant strides in infrastructural development in the nation's capital. He gave the commendation when the minister led officials of the FCT administration and some residents on a Salah homage to the State House in Abuja.
Moments after observing the Eid-el-fitri prayers, President Bola Tinubu is hosting officials of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, led by the Minister of the FCT, Mr. Nyesom Wike, with Vice President Kashim Shettima and other cabinet members of the President in attendance. The visit comes one day after speculation circulated about Mr. Wike's health and the claim that he was rushed outside the country. The minister says he is in the State House with a delegation comprising religious leaders, traditional rulers, and heads of security agencies to commend the president for his support.
Your Excellency, sir, as the leader of our great nation, your unwavering dedication to fostering unity, good governance, and national development inspires us all. The residents of the FCT are deeply grateful for your leadership and initiatives being undertaken to enhance the well-being of all of us.
President Tinubu lauds Mr. Wike for the achievements he has been able to record since assuming office.
Well, our landlord, the Honorable Minister of FCT, our Master of Infrastructure, yes, Wike, thank you very much today. The health centers are being rehabilitated. The health facilities for the residents of FCT and visitors are being upgraded. Our children's schools are being rehabilitated, rebuilt, refurnished. Thank you. Yes, sir.
The commendation by the president is considered a morale booster for Mr. Wike and his team as he pledges to execute more projects in the nation's capital.
In part two, after the break, we have more on the Eid-el-fitri celebrations, this time from the southern part of the country. And President Bola Tinubu recounts how he almost pulled out of the 2023 presidential race during the special iftar to mark his 73rd birthday. Please join us again. In continuation of the Eid celebrations, Muslim faithful also converged on Eid prayer grounds to mark the end of the fasting period. Let's see how the Eid-el-fitri celebration went across the southern states of Nigeria.
In Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, Muslim faithful observed the Eid prayers. Hundreds converged on the prayer ground in Dordon Barracks to offer prayers marking the end of Ramadan. Clerics at the prayer ground urged Nigerians to pray for peace and progress of the country.
Islam is the religion of brotherhood. Islam is the religion of unity. We hope for Nigerian peace and unity and everything good.
In Abeokuta, Muslim faithful converged for prayers to mark the end of Ramadan across the Ogun State capital. However, at the Lantoro Central Praying Ground in the state capital, the prayer was not held at all, a situation which left many worshippers stranded at the popular praying ground.
But based on all the information available generally from Saudi to the Sultanate, which is the head of the Emirate and Islamic Council in Nigeria, the expectation is that we'll be observing the Eid today.
Still from the southwest in Oyo State, Governor Seyi Makinde told a delegation comprising clerics, traditional rulers and political office holders that his administration has been able to bring about a level of economic stability in the state during a visit to him at his country home.
We are into a situation where we can see progress, we can see development, we can see peaceful coexistence. And we want to sustain that.
In the southeast, Imo State Governor and Chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, Hope Uzodinma, in a statement, marked Eid-el-fitri and felicitated with Muslims across Nigeria. He reminded them of the virtues of love, compassion and self-discipline, values shared by all faiths and vital for nation building. Governor Uzodinma in a statement says, quote, "I urge our Muslim brothers and sisters to continue to pray for peace, unity and stability in our country. Please remember our President Bola Tinubu in your prayers that Allah may grant him greater wisdom and strength to lead Nigeria forward." End quote. In Anambra, Governor Chukwuma Soludo conveyed his warm congratulations to the Muslim faithful in the state and across Nigeria on the occasion of Eid-el-Fitri. His message reads in part, quote, "The discipline, resilience and profound faith exhibited by our Muslim brothers and sisters throughout this holy month inspire us all." End quote.
You are good people.
In Enugu State, Governor Peter Mbah celebrated the Eid-el-Fitri with the Muslim faithful and asked them to imbibe the spirit of peace, love, tolerance, sacrifice, charity and togetherness. Governor Mbah observed the prayers at the Enugu Central Mosque Owerri Road, where he joined the Muslim faithful to mark the end of the Ramadan fast.
We must have an open mind, and we must be able to be receptive and tolerate one another.
And in Edo State, Governor Monday Okpewolo is assuring Muslims that his administration will continue to promote policies and programs that will foster peace and unity among people of all faiths. He conveyed his message through his deputy governor, Dennis Idahosa, when he played host to Muslim faithful at the government house, Benin City.
During this period of that you have fasted for 29 days, and the lessons learned during the fasting and prayers. Please, let's continue to tolerate one another.
With the Eid celebration in full swing, expectations are high that Muslims across the country will sustain the lessons learned during the fasting period of Ramadan.
Away from Eid prayers and celebrations now, President Bola Tinubu has expressed deep appreciation to Nigerians for their outpouring of goodwill and prayers as he marked his 73rd birthday. At a special iftar held in his honor on Saturday night at the presidential villa, President Tinubu thanked guests for their presence, prayers and contributions to the nation's development. Acknowledging the challenges he faced on the path to the presidency, he reaffirmed his commitment to advancing Nigeria's progress, promising to work harder. Our State House correspondent Larry Lasisi reports.
President Bola Tinubu and his wife arriving for the special iftar dinner to mark his 73rd birthday. Also present is Vice President Kashim Shettima, ministers, principal officers of the National Assembly, current and former governors, diplomats, business leaders, religious figures, family members, and close friends.
On behalf of my family, my constituents,
it was a time for birthday wishes and speeches, appreciating the president.
You are bold, courageous, and visionary, attributes which shall place you positively in the annals of Nigerian leadership history by the end of your tenure. Probably the greatest and most audacious president Nigeria had ever produced.
What we want to see in leadership, the kind of leaders we want to see, leaders who are not tribalistic, leaders who are ready to raise other people to take over.
Through your purposeful and transformative leadership, Nigeria has regained its footing and is now moving forward with a renewed determination towards a future of greatness.
Your resilience, dedication to a better Nigeria, but also focus as a leader who doesn't give in to threats nor pushback is one thing that as a young man I've taken away from my experience as a minister so far.
The vice president also applauded the president's courage.
Thanks to his boldness, future president of Nigeria will not have to wrestle with the same goals that haunted past administrations, including fraud-ridden fuel subsidies, an unstable forex market, and the suppression of local government autonomy. These were the thorny issues that many before him sidestepped, but Ashwaju did not come to sidestep history. He came to rewrite it.
The president expressed his gratitude for the prayers and good wishes.
And I'm very, very grateful to all of you here tonight. Grateful to Almighty God for what he has done for me personally. Those who are very close to me knew the odds were very much against me. I almost dropped the idea of running, of continuing the race. But thank you, Masari. Thank you, all of you.
He outlined his motivation for his reforms.
The hallmark of a great leader is the ability to decide to do what you have to do at the time it also be done. That was the day I said the subsidy is gone. What they think that we blow up in our face is giving us the hope. And Nigeria is turning around.
He promised to work harder for the country, restating his commitment to advancing Nigeria's progress. From the presidential villa, Larry Lasisi, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, ahead of the 2027 general elections, the African Democratic Congress is assuring Nigerians of its preparedness to rescue the country from the challenges bedeviling it. Speaking in Abuja after the National Working Committee meeting of the party, the national chairman, Mr. Ralph Nwosu, says that the party is ready to waive membership requirements in order to provide a platform for Nigerians to team up with it in its rescue mission.
I want to hand over a quality party to the Nigerian people who have promised that they are going to mobilize minimum of 60 to 80 million people to take over Nigeria and take it away from politicians, because politicians have shown that they can be so destructive. And when they do that, except politicians who can look Nigerians in the face and say enough is enough, enough of the past. We are now completely committed to the present of being value-driven. And as the Catholic I am, you beg for repentance, you go for confirmation, for confession, and you do it with a very good heart. After deep personal reflection, God will always forgive. And so on. So we want to approach the next political season with ordinary Nigerians, mainly clear Nigerian citizens and patriots.
In a bid to equip Ogoni youth with specialized skills for the maritime sector, the Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project, HYPREP, has inducted 100 trainees in its seafaring training program. The induction session held on Wednesday at the Charkin Maritime and Offshore Safety Training Limited in Port Harcourt, the River State capital. Our correspondent Deborah Agbalama reports.
To kindly, most respectfully invite to the table.
In the last quarter of 2024, HYPREP's management promised that in 2025, there would be more professional skill training for Ogoni youths. And today, that promise is being fulfilled as 100 trainees are inducted into the Able Seaman Training at Charking Maritime and Offshore Safety Training Limited.
For the average Ogoni person.
Speaking to journalists shortly after the induction session, the Director of Technical Services, Professor Damian Agui, representing HYPREP's project coordinator, emphasized that the selection process was transparent. He reaffirmed HYPREP's commitment to ensuring Ogoni youths benefit from vast opportunities in the maritime sector.
We had made this promise as HYPREP that we are going to do this, and it took a while coming, but it's finally here. Today is the day, and the program is going to start and run for 4 months, and it's a significant milestone in our efforts to changing the livelihoods of our people and empowering our people.
HYPREP's head of sustainable livelihood notes that the training is designed to give participants hands-on practical experience, ensuring they are well prepared for roles where Ogoni youths have been underrepresented.
They need hands-on practicals that they will use, skills that they will use on the vessels. And so we have already started that discussion with Chakins to say this training should be hands-on.
The CEO of Charking Maritime, Dr. Charles Mwami, applauds HYPREP's initiative, assuring that the training will meet international standards and position the trainees for gainful employment in the maritime and offshore industry.
In a proper way, meeting all international standards. So anybody who passed out from Charking is a gold card that can take you to anywhere. And of course, talking about Ogoni youths undergoing a HYPREP scholarship, I think is the best thing HYPREP has ever done.
The beneficiaries, on their part, see the training as a stepping stone to better opportunities.
The process was very transparent. I can say I commend HYPREP. And I want to encourage other organizations, government organizations, they should copy this from HYPREP.
Never picked my phone to call anybody, and I am happy that I saw a text message for this program. I want to appreciate HYPREP.
Meanwhile, HYPREP, which had previously trained 100 youths in aviation, says it is set to launch new training sessions in mechatronics and creative arts in the coming weeks. With this latest initiative, HYPREP's management says it will continue to expand skill acquisition opportunities for Ogoni youths, ensuring that they are well positioned for emerging career prospects. Deborah Abalama, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA arrests Lekki-based businessman over shipment of illicit drugs to Nigeria and Europe. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Earlier this month, the presidents of Ghana, John Mahama, traveled to Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso to liaise with leaders of these countries. Although Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso remain officially out of the Economic Community of West African States, that's ECOWAS, President Mahama believes that the inter-country cooperation remains vital to regional peace and development. Well, this week, President Mahama visited Nigeria, met President Bola Tinubu, and then told reporters that the situation is complicated. Is there any way to unite this complication? Babajide Ogunsanwo, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst, is here to share more intelligence about Nigeria's evolving multilateral relationship in ECOWAS and, of course, in the Sahel region. Thank you very much, Babajide, for joining us on the News at 10.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Well, some scholars have described Eid-el-fitri as a season of reflection. So what are your reflections on Ghana's leadership role, of course, in rebuilding trust among countries, especially in the West African region?
So there are different ways to look at this. But just before we talk about why is President John Mahama of Ghana concerned about what is going on in West Africa, just before we answer that, and there are three celebrations happening today. The first celebration is that tomorrow is a public holiday. It's the last day of the first quarter of 2025. Nigerians are celebrating that. The second celebration, Anne, is that 2 billion mothers in the world are celebrating Mother's Day. They're facing and they're celebrating how they've been climbing up the ladder and facing the challenges of womanhood. Again, a beautiful day for my brother and I to celebrate all the women, our mother, Yabo Wale Abino, and to celebrate the successes and challenges every woman, every mother in the world faces. The third celebration is the first day of Shawwal today, Eid Mubarak. So just before we go into the analysis of tonight, let's take a look at some of the messages of leaders in Nigeria on this first day of Shawwal, Eid Mubarak, because it allows us to put everything the nation is facing into perspective, especially this celebration. Look at the message from the Sultan of Sokoto, who is also the President General of the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, talking about may our leaders fear Almighty Allah always and serve true, serving our people. We also ask all Muslims wherever we are to continue to live in peace with one another. That's one of the messages from the Sultan of Sokoto on Eid Mubarak, clearly talking about our leaders serving the people and serving Allah through serving the people. The President's message is crisp and clear. May our sacrifices, birth renewal, and our dear nation find peace and progress. His Eid Mubarak message, crisp to all Nigerians, that may we find peace and progress. Clearly, it allows us to put all of this in perspective, especially looking at even what the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Gwabi Musa, and how he's put peace, unity, and gratitude. For him, he says, Eid-el-fitri marks the end of Ramadan. It does not mark the end of good deeds to one another. So with this, it allows us to clearly understand the importance and significance of Ramadan and what happens post-Ramadan in this first day of Shawwal. Now to the crux of tonight's analysis. Why is President Ghana concerned about what exactly is going on in ECOWAS, even though it was just sworn in January? Let me explain it very clearly. Ghana shares borders with Burkina Faso. Now, you know Burkina Faso is currently rated as the most terrorized country in the world. Burkina Faso shares borders with Mali. Mali shares borders with Niger. Niger shares borders with Nigeria. What I'm saying is similar to what the French philosopher Alexandre Dumas said in 1844, un pour tout et tout pour un. What does this mean? One for all all for one. In simple terms, it's either all of us have peace or none of us have peace. One for all for one, as the French philosopher Alexandre Dumas put it. So what the president of Ghana is saying and what he is seeing is that we really are all together. None of us can be happy, or all of us can only be happy if we are happy together. So let no country be under any illusion that you can be peaceful, yet your neighbors will not be peaceful.
But did the president of Ghana give any clue as to what the leaders of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger are willing to do in terms of rejoining ECOWAS?
So from his discussions, his words, and his body language, it is clear that Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali may not be coming into the ECOWAS region anytime soon. However, we must make this clear. Even though they are no longer in the ECOWAS region, they are still in Western Africa. You cannot, yes, you might choose not to be in the bloc, but as long as your land mass is still within Western Africa, you have no choice but to cooperate. So it's different if you could actually take out your country out of the map and move it to the Atlantic Ocean or anywhere they want to. The crux of the matter is they may be out of the bloc, they might have formed their own group, the Alliance for Sahel States, but what is clear, and exactly what the president of Ghana, John Mahama, is saying in his visit is we are all still living in Western Africa, and we all have to cooperate. Now, let's take a look at some of his visits, especially since the 9th of March, to look at how he has traveled. His first visit was on the 9th of March to Mali, where he met with President Assimi Goïta. Immediately after he left Mali, he went to Niger the same day, meeting with President Tijani. Then the following day, he visited Burkina Faso, meeting with President Ibrahim Traoré, before coming this week to meet with our president, President Tinubu, and describing the situation as complicated. However, what he's also clearly saying is that we are all still in Western Africa.
All right, we've seen French troops sent out and back home, but is there any evidence that Nigeria's bilateral relationship with France is an obstacle to regional cooperation among West African countries?
So, speaking of evidence, there are three things I'll quickly share with you before we close. Perhaps you'll probably then be able to take your decision. Now, the first evidence we have was provided as the statistical evidence provided by the National Bureau of Statistics. And they tell us that last year, the first 9 months of last year, Nigeria's total trade with France, over 6 trillion naira. Nigeria's total trade with the rest of ECOWAS, less than 5 trillion naira. In simple terms, Nigeria is doing more business with France than it is doing with all of ECOWAS. First evidence. Now, the second evidence, and why President Tinubu perhaps is interested in France, is France clearly belongs among the top G7 countries. We're talking about the United States, United Kingdom, Germany, Japan, Italy. So clearly France has a role in the voice of industrialized nations, and clearly the president sees some value there. But perhaps the concern of these African countries is that, you know what, one of the 4th century scholars in India, Vishnu Gupta, said, "The friend of my enemy is my enemy." And so for some of these nations, they see France as an enemy, and if Nigeria is a friend to France, they then see Nigeria also as an enemy. So final analysis, let's take a look at some of Nigeria's ties and some of the president's travels to France in the chart of the week. And the evidence we have is that since the president's inauguration, the president has visited France 7 times. We remember his first visit a month after it was inaugurated in June. After the June trip, 3 months after, he visited France. January 24, 4 months after that, another visit to France on a private visit. 7 months after, another visit. In all, 7 visits to France. If you work out the numbers, the evidence we have shows that President Tinubu visits France an average of 1 trip in 3.5 months. And so, for these other nations, they feel that Nigeria is a friend to France, and if France is their enemy, automatically Nigeria becomes an enemy. Don't forget, the friend of my enemy is my enemy, in the words of the Indian scholar Vishnu Gupta.
All right, thank you very much. I guess that's a great place to end the discussion tonight. Babajide Ogunso, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst. Thank you for your exciting contribution.
The pleasure is all mine.
Let's head to Adamawa State now, where the Governor Omar Fintiri has reiterated his own commitment to fostering peace and unity across the state. Speaking at the 2025 Kwete Wrestling Festival in Lamorde local government area, Governor Fintiri emphasized the importance of peaceful coexistence among residents, stressing that harmony remains a key priority for his administration. He's asked citizens to take advantage of his government's various empowerment programs designed to improve livelihoods, especially for youth.
The 2025 Kwete Wrestling Festival in Lamode local government area attracted members of the State Executive Council, traditional rulers from across the state, and tourists who gathered to witness young wrestlers exhibit their skills. In his address to the people, the Adamawa State Governor Omar Fintiri, represented by his deputy, calls on the people to take advantage of the various empowerment programs of the administration in the state.
The governor also sends a message to our youth to use their youthful exuberance in doing what will bring development not just to the Bachama land, but to Adamawa State as a whole.
Some of the invited guests share their impression of the cultural heritage.
We need peace. We need love. We need to be our brother's keeper. There's nobody that benefits from another person being killed. Nobody benefits from that.
That the event is holding itself means there is an ambience of peace, and that there is a diversity of attendees. It's also a demonstration of the fact that there is now peace, and all we can do is to sustain it.
Traditional rulers present at the event commend the state governor for providing the enabling environment for peace to thrive in the state.
This is an important aspect of us being here today is to showcase to the world that we can live with one another in peace and harmony. We are showcasing that we are united because unity and peaceful coexistence brings about growth and development.
The council deems it most appropriate to first of all acknowledge the commitment to service and excellent performance, good governance, and efficient service delivery of His Excellency the Governor to Bachama Chiefdom, to Numan Federation, and indeed to Adamawa State as a whole.
The 2025 Kwete Wrestling Festival climaxes with prayers for a prosperous farming season.
Other stories now. Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the NDLEA, have announced an arrest of a Lekki-based businessman and proprietor of a Damilion's Takeout, Akorodari Damil Ebenezer, in connection with the shipment of 60 parcels of loud, which is a strong strain of cannabis, from the United States of America to Nigeria. A statement signed by the Director, Media and Advocacy of the agency, Femi Babafemi, says the 43-year-old businessman, who's been in the business of illicit drug trade since 2017, was arrested at Bay Lounge on Admiralty Way in the Lekki area of Lagos, where he does his business, on Monday, March the 24th, 2025, while he was expected to take delivery of his latest drug consignment. The statement adds that his arrest followed the seizure of his cargo that arrived to Nigeria in 7 big cartons at the logistics company in Lagos on March the 12th, 2025. The statement further adds that the attempt by an Italy-based businessman, Omori Terry, to export 1,400 pills of tramadol weighing 800 grams to Italy has also been thwarted by NDLEA officials at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport after the suspect was intercepted at the screening point of Terminal 2 of the Lagos Airport on his way to Italy via Qatar Airways flight. Into the world of sports now. Following the provisional hosting rights granted to Nigeria a few months ago, the Commonwealth Fencing Federation has formally awarded the hosting rights for the 2026 Commonwealth Fencing Championships to Nigeria and the Fencing Federation ahead of Australia. Well, this now makes Nigeria the first sub-Saharan nation to stage the tournament. The president of the Commonwealth Fencing Federation, Marie-France Dufour, has confirmed that it was resolved by a majority decision of the board to award the hosting rights to Nigeria after reviewing the technical committee's report. The president of Nigeria Fencing Federation, Adeyinka Samuel, has ascribed the trust reposed in Nigeria as a major boost to the fortunes of fencing in the country. The former national and West African light heavyweight champion Nigeria's Segun Olarinwaju has sadly passed away during a boxing bout against Ghanaian boxer John Mbanugu during the Ghana Professional Boxing League at Bokum Boxing Area on Saturday night. The late Olarinwaju is reported to be ahead on points before the unfortunate incident. A widely circulated video on social media captured the moment he collapsed in the ring in front of the referee, and a huge shock to his coaching crew. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family. Manchester City came from behind to reach the FA Cup semi-finals with a 2-1 win over Bournemouth, and that game happened earlier today. But victory came at a cost as Erling Haaland hobbled off injured. Well, Haaland has seen a first-half penalty save before Evanson put cherries in front, but the Norwegian made amends by equalizing 4 minutes into the second period before being forced off with an ankle injury. His replacement, Omar Mamouche, took just 2 minutes to score the winner from the second assist by an impressive Nico O'Reilly. Marcus Rashford's first goals from Aston Villa inspired a 3-0 win against Preston, and that sent his side into the English FA Cup semi-finals for the first time in 10 years earlier today. Rashford struck twice in the second half to end Preston's stubborn resistance before Jacob Ramsey wrapped up Villa's long-awaited return to the last four. Revitalised since joining Villa on loan from Manchester United during the January transfer window, Rashford is beginning to show the form that made him one of England's brightest stars prior to his steep decline over the last 2 years. The 27-year-old hasn't scored since netting for United against Everton on December the 1st last year. And the semi-final fixtures are on in the FA Cup. Nottingham Forest, who reached their own first semi since 1991, will take on Manchester City, but last won the trophy back in 2023. Aston Villa have been drawn against Crystal Palace, who beat Fulham convincingly in the quarter-finals. Semi-finals will take place on the weekend of Saturday, April the 26th. And away from business, 4 more people have been rescued from rubble caused by a 7.7 magnitude earthquake that hit Myanmar on Friday, killing 1,700 people. Such efforts have continued at one of several sites across the country, with many people awaiting anxiously for news of their loved ones. The rescuers have been working very hard over the past 3 days. Son of jailed former leader of Myanmar, Aung San Suu Kyi, says that he had no confirmation about his mother's health following the quake. Local news reports that the prison where Ms. Suu Kyi is being held has been largely unaffected. It is uncertain how this could be confirmed.
Rescue teams and volunteers have been seen outside rubble of collapsed buildings all across Myanmar. Locals watch as the rescue workers try to recover what they can. On Saturday, the emergency crews worked to free survivors trapped under the rubble of collapsed buildings. Even now, rescue operations are still ongoing. It's the 3rd day since the quake, and rescue work has been made slightly difficult by another earthquake that hit earlier Sunday. A 5.1 magnitude earthquake that hit Mandalay, one of the worst affected areas from Friday's disaster. However, hopes for finding people alive is fading. As for the site of a 30-story Chinese-constructed building that collapsed in Bangkok on Friday, approximately 80 people were inside when disaster struck. 10 of them were found dead at the affected site. including one body the rescuers pulled out of the debris on Saturday night. Meanwhile, on Saturday, Chairman of Myanmar State Administration Council, Min Aung Hlaing, appealed for assistance from international and local communities. He urged precaution to citizens concerning aftershocks, calling on the urgent need for relief efforts. Responding to the call, China sent in an 82-member team equipped with specialized gear and aid supplies. Malaysia sent a 50-strong disaster relief and humanitarian aid team. Bangladesh Air Force servicemen were seen preparing the Casa C-295W aircraft at the Kermitola base in Dhaka on Sunday to deliver the humanitarian aid to Myanmar. And Russia is sending a combined squad of the Russian Emergencies Ministry to help handle the aftermath of the quake.
An American doctor on the ground of Gaza says that wounded Palestinians are dying in Gaza over oxygen supplies. Mr. Mark Perlmutter has been working in 2 Gaza hospitals for the past 3 weeks. He says the doctors have to work in operating rooms without soap, antibiotics or X-ray facilities as Israel resumed its offensive against Hamas in Gaza. The Israeli government had said the renewed attacks that its military is carrying out in Gaza are aimed at forcing Hamas to release all the remaining hostages. Mr. Perlmutter says that most hospitals across Gaza are out of operation or barely managing to function. He's compared the medical facilities in Gaza to where he lives in North Carolina. There are multiple trauma centers there, but they would have been overwhelmed. He also says that if they had to deal with the mass influx of casualties that resulted from the first day of Israel's resumption of its war against Hamas. And the main news again. Muslims worldwide today observed Eid-el-fitri prayers after a month-long period of fasting in the holy month of Ramadan, with prayers for peace, love and unity across the globe. Also today, President Bola Tinubu asked Nigerians to sustain the teachings of the month of Ramadan as he joined other Muslim faithful for Eid prayers in the nation's capital. And still on Eid-el-fitri, the Sultan of Sokoto, Saad Abubakar III, has appealed to Nigerians to continue to pray and support leaders at all levels in order to achieve the much-desired growth and development in the country. And 4 persons have been rescued from the rubble in Myanmar almost 3 days after a powerful earthquake struck the country, which has so far claimed over 1,700 lives. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Have a wonderful week ahead. Good night.